Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in again, and today we are going to be talking about food labels. Not the food labels you see in the supermarket with the ingredients on, but the labels we give to ourselves around what we want to eat, what decisions we make around eating. And the thing that I want to focus on today is veganism and the rise of veganism and how popular it's becoming. So basically in the UK here, while I'm recording this video, it's January. And Veganuary is huge this year. So I was in London a few days ago and there were adverts everywhere for Veganuary. Literally every high street chain had an A board outside and posters up everywhere. It's all over social media. Literally everywhere you go, Instagram, Facebook, the high street, Veganuary is taken off in a huge way. And I kind of started to think that I wanted to share this video because I feel like it's becoming quite a marketing buzzword, and as someone that works in the design and kind of advertising marketing industry, I'm thinking that veganism feels like it's being taken down this road where perhaps the sort of health decisions and the sustainability and the education that's needed around veganism has kind of been hijacked, and we're getting into this zone where we're getting lots of kind of fast food products and junk food products around veganism that are coming out, which I feel like I want to talk about because I became a vegetarian in 2013 and now I am back onto an omnivore diet for a myriad of reasons, but mainly health reasons. So I felt like it would be really good to delve into this and discuss in the video. So kind of as we touched on at the beginning, veganism is a huge growing trend. I think it's the fastest growing food trend. I know it is in the UK, don't know what it's like worldwide. Obviously we're talking Western world, probably UK, US, Europe. So it's hugely on the rise. And I know that under 30s are the main audience that are really getting behind veganism. And I've read some really interesting case studies with young people, under 30s, teenagers, who have made the decision to go vegan. And a lot of it seems to be around kind of obviously wanting to look after the planet, animal welfare being a big one, and then also health reasons. And this is kind of being spearheaded by these influencers on social media, and kind of this huge wave that grows on social media when, you know, people are hashtagging and looking at certain topics. You know, the algorithms all pick up on that, and then it creates this wave of things that it thinks you'll be interested in, and you can end up in this echo chamber online on social media where you are surrounded by kind of influencers and vegan messaging, as well as outside in the real world now on the high street and in chains. So it's interesting how much it's grown as a movement. And I think, you know, I lived on this sort of diet. As I say, I went vegetarian and then gradually progressed into veganism from early 2013. I went vegetarian and then I went on to a more vegan diet, and that was purely for ethical reasons. I didn't do any sort of research into how it would potentially impact, what I was eating would impact on my health, or kind of the education that was needed around making such a huge shift in lifestyle. So I never really considered those things, and it was over time that I did my research and I began to realise that there was a lot more to it. So I began to, you know, cook a lot more vegetarian and vegan foods as I progressed, as I say, from vegetarian to veganism, cutting out dairy and basically cooking lots of recipes that included no animal products at all. But it was a lot of education work that I kind of did as I went along, rather than really considering that as part of my decision. And I think I was also sold this idea through, I would say, mainly through online marketing and social media, and also as well through documentaries, that veganism was this kind of the coolest thing and the only way. It was sold in as the only way we were going to save the planet, and it was the only way that you could live a spiritual life. And I really felt like I personally was very much influenced by that in my decision to continue with that sort of lifestyle. And I think one of the things that I want to talk about really today is that I believe now, so going on from 2013, how many years is that? 2013, 2014, 2015, 16, 17, 18, so maybe like this 6-year journey that I've been on, is that there is no kind of black or white answer to what diet is going to work best environmentally for your specific health needs, and also as well for sort of welfare of the general ecosystem. I really don't think that there is a one-size-fits-all approach, and that's something that I've really shifted my perspective on from a few years ago. And it's interesting to me that there are so many people thriving on different sorts of diets. So for example, we can look at somebody like Chris Carr. I'm going to put links to everything I'm talking about below so that you can delve deeper and find out more. So Chris Carr was diagnosed with a terminal cancer, and she has managed that and is thriving on a vegan diet. So that's really exciting and really fascinating to look into. And then there are also people like the Happy Pair who are really big, I guess more so they're Irish, so maybe more Europe, UK, but perhaps they're making it in America now, I'm not sure. So they're two twins from Ireland who are thriving, pushing vegetarianism, veganism, and particularly that masculine image of veganism, which is so exciting, and I love those guys. And then we're going to the other end of the spectrum here, but through my own research and my own experience, there are many people who are thriving on a omnivore or kind of more protein-rich meat-based diet. So people like Terry Walls, who suffered with MS, and she does the Walls Protocol diet, which is very much a paleo style diet where grains and kind of highly inflammatory vegetables and legumes and pulses and things like that are not included on that diet, and she's managed to put her symptoms into remission and is living a healthy life. The same with Michaela Peterson. So she has been hitting the news recently because she is eating a purely meat-based diet. So she had really bad severe arthritis and she was really ill and she had to have multiple surgeries, and she basically started to eliminate things until she got to the point where she was just eating meat only, no vegetables, and she is thriving on that diet, has managed to put her symptoms into remission. She's a mum now, and she's a big advocate for people, you know, realizing that there's more than one way to do this and approach dietary changes. So I think that kind of having that outside of the box, I know that sounds cheesy, but I think what we do is when we kind of assign ourselves to a label like vegan or paleo or whatever we choose, we're kind of really narrowing our choices and the kind of our journey towards continuous journey of change and different symptoms that will come up, and how stress and other things are affecting your life and how your food habits might need to change around that. So I think that what I found personally is that I want to move away from this in the box thinking of I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, I only eat paleo, and being just very aware of how much, when you make those decisions, what you need to know. So for example, I think that with veganism, what you really need to be aware of if you are doing Veganuary and it's something that you want to continue with, or that you're adopting a vegan lifestyle, or you're kind of umming and ahhing around decisions about what to do, is understanding the need for education and knowing exactly what you need to eat to thrive on that diet. So I would say before you enter into any kind of vegan or more restricted or vegetarian diet, is to really do your homework. So there are tons of kind of resources online and books that you can buy. I'm going to post a link below to my friend Bridget, who is genuinely, I think she's the flying the flag for how people can be healthy being vegans. So she has always been vegetarian and now she lives a fully plant-based vegan lifestyle, and she is on it. Like, she knows exactly what she needs to be eating. She's super healthy, and she has some great videos, which I'm going to post a link to her channel below, around how you can, you know, try out veganism and do it in the best way possible to see if you can thrive on it. So I think that that's really important. About, you need to be educated, you need to know about supplementation around different minerals and vitamins. So the key one often people talk about is B12, also iron, and there are lots of other things to look into. I'm going to post a video below with Chris Kresser, and that is really interesting because it's a short YouTube video, but it goes more in depth into what you really need to be looking at if you want to support yourself on a vegan lifestyle, and the best ways to do that. So you may find that interesting. I'm going to post that below because that's something that happened to me. So to give you a little bit more background, you also need to be really aware of your personal health history and your genetics. So that will massively impact how you're able to thrive on different kinds of diets. So for me, I have an autoimmune condition. I got diagnosed when I was 25 years old, and that was initially Graves and now it's Hashimoto's, but both thyroid autoimmune conditions. So that plays a massive part in the kind of diet that I should be eating, but I was very unaware of that and didn't kind of factor that in when I was making my decisions. And there are other health conditions. So for example, I mentioned Terry Walls before. People that have autoimmune conditions like lupus or MS or Hashimoto's or Graves or rheumatoid arthritis may find that when they start doing research online and with health advocates and professionals in this specific area, that veganism potentially isn't the best route forward for a lot of people with autoimmune conditions. So it's worth looking at your health history and your genetics and doing a bit more research around whether veganism is going to work for you. So one of the things that I found was a few years into my vegetarian vegan transition that I was finding that my B12 was on the floor. My iron levels were really low, and this is even with me having the knowledge that I needed to supplement with a bioavailable B12 supplement. I was also taking the Engavita yeast flakes, and I was doing the Dr. Schultz's superfood. So lots of B12 was going in, but for some reason I was still really, really low in it. And my health began to suffer, and I ended up feeling like I was just absolutely at a dead end. I was at my wit's end thinking, I'm a vegan, I'm doing everything that I can to be healthy. What's going wrong? I just don't know. So I did a lot of research, and I saw lots of health professionals that helped me on that journey, including a herbalist, a nutritional therapist, and a certified medical doctor, Dr. Chatterjee, who's an amazing shining light in the area of health in the UK and America and beyond. And they all basically helped me to understand that potentially veganism wasn't right for me, and that I needed to look at introducing more meat. So I did the metabolic typing diet with the herbalist that I first saw, and my results for that, you do a questionnaire, and my results came out that I was actually really in need of eating the kind of diet that was very rich in organ meats and red meat and oily fish, and really cutting back on any kind of grains unless absolutely necessary, anything sugary, even limiting fruit, and focusing very much on like meat, fish, nuts and natural fats, and then also as well lots of vegetables. So that taught me so much, and now I'm in this kind of position where I've kind of tweaked and tried and done lots and lots of different things to help me with my health. Luckily, I feel like I'm in, touch wood, just touching my desk here, that I'm in a good place with my health at the moment. And I've kind of got to this point where I'm in a make it up as I go along, do what's right for me, or eat it up as I go along kind of approach, where I've really created this bespoke way of eating on the whole that's right for me, and that involves a lot of moderation. I don't eat a lot of grains at all, especially not glutinous grains. I don't have any dairy apart from a tiny little bit of goat's butter, but I do eat meat products and I do eat eggs. So one of the things that I've really learned, which is one of the things that I think veganism has been a huge gift, and that shift that I made has been that now I'm so much more of a conscious eater. So that's like the positives of potentially following a vegan route, however long you do it for, whether you play around with it. So now if I'm going to eat an animal product, I know that that animal has died so that I can eat it. And I go to a local farm where they have their own beef and their own lamb. It's all grass, pasture raised, and it's literally a few miles from my house, and the animals get slaughtered just a few miles from the farm. So it's very low impact. I'm supporting local business, and when I eat that animal, I've seen that animal at the farm or seen those animals, and I have a connection with it, and I understand that I'm eating a real animal. So that is a massive shift that I've experienced, and something that I've had to come to terms with, that I feel like for me personally, I need to eat meat to feel like I can thrive. And my relationship with how I eat those products has really changed from my pre-vegetarian days when I used to eat meat very unconsciously. So it's important that if you are going to eat meat, that you approach it where I have these 3 pillars in mind: education, sustainability, and then also as well happiness. So how happy do you feel with what you're eating, and is it stressing you out? Are you getting anxious? All of these things at play, and I feel like I've reached a good place where I feel educated, where I'm doing my best to be as sustainable as I can within the budget that I have, which is important for everyone because we don't all have huge budgets to spend on food, and that I'm happy with where I'm at and I feel like it's right for me. So that's one of the things that I think is most important, is really becoming intuitive and doing what's right for you. And research, if you watch a documentary on Netflix and it's pushing one point of view, go away and just think, I've really taken away a lot from that, but where were those research studies that they were quoting, and was I feeling like my emotions were potentially getting manipulated in that? And really going away and having a deep think and a further research and looking at alternative points of view and being really open-minded, I think is really important for all of us to do. Like when I was a vegan, I probably would have listened to somebody like me and been like, they don't know what they're talking about, they didn't do it right, I don't agree with them. But now I can see that, like, I've got friends that are thriving on vegan lifestyles. I can see people that are eating just meat, and from what I've listened to them talking about, that's really working for them in terms of they're able to function as a human being and they're not bedridden or having to have operations. So there are so many different points of view and we're all unique, and getting in touch with how you feel is really important. So if you do decide to try out veganism, really be aware of keeping note of how you're feeling, and are you feeling better? Are some of your symptoms feeling worse? How overall has your life changed? I noticed particularly for me that I ended up eating a lot more sugar, and it wasn't like unhealthy sugar as such, but I was eating lots of sweet treats, lots of healthy vegan raw treats, which were still full of like coconut sugar or maple syrup or dates. And I think that was because I was craving protein, and as soon as I reintroduced more of the animal protein, I no longer had those huge cravings that I had before. So I know that's a lot to take in, and I know that you may not agree with everything that I've said. I'm by no means an expert. I'm speaking from my own personal experience, my own personal journey, and I know that there are a lot of people that used to be vegans who feel shame for going back to an omnivore diet. And I think that it's important that we're open and we talk about the realities, that life is not black and white. And as much as in this era, we like to think that we can put ourselves in these perfect Instagram squares and sell this brand of who we are and what we do and what kind of diet we follow, I think that we need to accept that life is multifaceted and there are so many different things that work for different people, and we can't sit on a soapbox and say, I know that this is right, because we may change, we may experience different health symptoms that mean that we need to change up our diet. And having that more flexible approach, more open-minded approach, listening to people's views that you don't agree with or different viewpoints is so valuable. And I want to end on saying, do what's right for you, listen to your body and tune in and make your own rules around food and enjoy it. Food brings us together. It's an incredible community, emotional, evocative experience, which is way beyond just fueling our bodies. So I'd love to hear what you think. Please comment and let me know your story and your thoughts around this topic. I will be posting another video next Tuesday, and if you like this one, please like it, share, and if you want more of this content, you can subscribe to my channel. Okay, thanks guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.